Victoria Island. And a director in the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International. So my positions predispose me to have people come to me to seek help at work, in church, and in my interactions with people, and they come to me to seek help. Troubled souls, about relationships, and other issues of life. And for very many years, I have tried to help them. I use the best of what I know, and I have some successes, but I also had not very good results. So I felt I needed to up my skills and get better equipped. Sorry, can you hear me down there? Okay, all right. I'll tell you my values. I'll try to impose my values on you. And I discovered that it wasn't really working. It wasn't working at all, especially with people who were within my sphere of influence, family members. There are some I had been talking to for very many years, and they're on their own. I have my say, they have their way. And it's just been happening. In fact, early this year, my mom passed, so we went for the burial. So we had a... Try to do. So one of the first things I learned when I got into the institute is to learn about yourself, the things you are doing wrong. So I found that as a person, what I was doing was really not counseling. I was advising. I'm privileged to have been well brought up in a way, and to have some values that have helped me in life. So I've always felt, okay, if I meet somebody, I would like to help the person to get some of those values. So especially those who are within my sphere of influence, to really influence them to be good and be what that had helped me to succeed. But I found I wasn't getting it right. So from the lessons I learned in the institute, I learned that as a counselor, you are helping people to make their decisions. You are not deciding for them. And that's what I have been doing before. So, and since then, so I noticed that some of the ones where I've done a little bit better, were things I didn't decide for people. I guided them, I helped them. So I was able to now know what real counseling is. I've been a counselor. I always address myself as a counselor. Okay? Just like sometimes you think you're a counselor because people come to you and you give advice. But I suddenly discovered it wasn't really working. Especially people of this, in the past, there are people you talk to, they will listen to you. Oh, you say, okay, this is the way this works, and they are all ears listening to you. But you can't do that a lot these days. Anytime you're talking to somebody, the person wants to know why and all that. So you may have your say, but they have their way. So I've learned that some of the skills I've gotten now helps me to really work with people and help them to become better what they want to do. So that's one of the things I've learned. So I've learned to be better at myself, understanding people around me. In the past, there are things that had happened around me that have puzzled me, especially in the body of Christ. You see people, they are good people. They come to church, they are very interested, they're always there. But you see things the way life is with them. I've been wondering, how can they pray, they do all the good things, and years come and years, they are not getting improved. So you keep wondering, asking yourself, what is happening? Or maybe somebody had a traumatic experience, and you suddenly discover he's beside himself. And some of them just slide and then they disappear from life. And I didn't know really how to help them. So from the things I've learned in the Institute, I can now begin to tell myself, so this is what happened. I know one particularly, very close to me. He had a traumatic experience sometime in the past. And that trauma reduced him until he passed. People didn't understand him. He was in church. He was a very good person in church. But we didn't know how to handle it. And he passed without resolving that issue. So I told myself, if I knew what I know today, no, he wouldn't have passed by now. We would have been able to recover him from the traumas he passed and be able to help him to keep living. So just like it was indicated that the church is the first responder. Most people come to church, a lot of them are troubled, and when they finish, they wait to meet the leaders, they wait to meet us, and a lot of times we'll just say to them, oh, God will do it, pray more, do all that and all that. We don't really get to. Or say, I'll pray for you and all that. But from what I've learned in the Institute, I'm better equipped. Much, much more equipped to be able to deal with issues of those natures. Because I can now better understand those people and I can better be able to deal with them. And I've had quite a few persons I've talked to since I started the training, and it's been very, very productive. Excellently productive. So I think it is something that I want to recommend to all of us here. If it's possible, everybody who is in church leadership needs to do this training, if it's possible for me. So I encourage you to do the training. In fact, when I finished the certificate course, I wasn't satisfied. So I enrolled for the advanced certificate course. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to graduate next week. And I'm hoping that when I finish with that, I will now specialize. I want to be a relationship counselor. So I'm going to do a little bit more and equip myself so that when people come to me troubled, they will not leave the same. That's my passion. That's my goal. So I would like to encourage you to, do something, to become part of this institute, and you will not regret doing that. I've not regretted, and I hope you are not going to regret. Thank you very much for listening.
Please put your hands together for Engineer Sonny. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. One of the things that stood out for me from what he said was, I have my say, they have their way. Thank you. I have my say, they have their way. So in counseling, it's not your own say, right? It's a relationship therapeutic measure. If you want to know more about it, please, I'm not going to say further. Come to the Institute of Counseling and get more information. However, we have flyers around. If you have not been given a flyer, please signal to any one of us, and we'll give you a flyer. There's evangelism in mental health. So you get it for yourself first, salvation for yourself first, and then you begin to evangelize. So please, we give the flyers so that you not have your say and they have their way. I'll give you one, sir. I'll give you one, ma. All right. Without further ado, once again, I'm bringing up our second testimonial speaker. She's a fellow chartered accountant. Please, if your hands are not busy, put your hands together for Mrs. Olufumilayo Ogunlano as she comes forward. Thank you. Please put your hands together. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be in your midst and excited. Putting my FCA aside, people will be looking at me and wondering, what is she doing in that profession? It's what we call passion. Passion, the first testimonial speaker did say something about that, and I don't want to dwell too much on that That is something everybody, I'm sure in this room, you all have one way or you have instances when people have been coming to you either by way of your being in the church or belonging to a group or in your family, but somehow you have people coming to you for advice. And I was so happy when I heard Mrs. Oriolowo saying, people have been coming to you for advice because they trust you, because they believe you will not betray them. And that is one of the ethics standards of counseling, to say you must maintain confidentiality. So I'm proud to announce and introduce myself as a certified licensed counselor through the Institute of Counseling Nigeria. I'm also certified in child and adolescent, and I'm going for grief next month. And by the time the president of the institute addresses this gathering, you will see it's like firecracker, and everybody will sit up. So what am I saying? My experience in the institute, after the first day, which we termed the orientation, I became, in quotes, born again. When I say born again, in the sense that you look at yourself and you look at where you are coming from. And I wondered, God helped me bringing up my children. Because knowing the things I know now, I just imagine how I did it. And that is what counseling training does for you. It makes you into a new being. It makes you into a new person. And now, when I walk, if I see people differently. I take each instance as a coin with two sides. And that is what life is all about. And when anything happens to anybody, I look at it differently. I just had a sister of mine, her daughter had accident, automobile accident. And do you know, because of being a counselor, the first thing that came to my mind was to say counsel, because she's passed through a trauma. Nobody will think about that. All we are thinking is, going to the hospital, looking at her, Pele, how are you? How are you feeling? But the first thing that came to my mind is, oh my goodness, this is trauma. And of course, yesterday, I started counseling her. And that is what counseling does for you. But you can't get it just from this short clip here. The good Jews is coming to the institute, getting trained. And you can imagine about 50 of us here, I'm just saying averagely, for us to be licensed. You see what the institute is saying, world changer. See what you can do outside. And taking it outside of the church. We are not talking of it being localized in a small place, but we are talking about it getting impact, taking it to everybody and making the country to be at peace. Because everybody, including me, everybody has an issue. And I listened when Mrs. Oriolowo was talking about mental health. As soon as you mention mental health, do you know what people do? They forget about the health. What strikes you? Mental. Thank you very much. And of course, you run away. You believe, oh, this is not us. Maybe it belongs to the Western world, the Oyibos. But the truth of the matter is, if you are reading the news, the first time I got hit by what we call mental health is when I started reading about it from Princess Williams and Harry. And I look at them as if, oh, these people are spoiled. Why will they be going about talking about mental health? What is super about that? What is significant about? What is important about it? But knowing it now, I really dove my heart for them because I imagined what, I'm not feeling it. That's what the training does for you. You can only imagine. Because when you go to see people who are bereaved or so, You'll be saying, oh, sorry, I can feel what you are feeling. You can't feel it. You cannot feel it. You can only imagine it. It is only that person that can know the pain. And that is what training does for you. I can go on and on and on and on, but I don't want to take it out of my president. But you are lucky this morning because Mrs. Oriolowo taught me for my certificate. And I'm so proud of her. And Mr. Tosin too here. Mr. Tosin, he too is a lecturer. And my fair lady here, these are the people making. And by the time you meet our president, Dr. Tolu, I want to keep it so that you feel it. You feel it when it comes. But the truth of the matter is, I can tell you and I encourage you, if you have the passion, take it. If you do not have that passion, you might not be able to feel it. You might find it difficult. But if it is a passion in you, you will see it. You will just be going in for it and nothing can stop you. I'm a proud licensed counselor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Olufumilayo. Please put your hands together for her once again. She has nailed it. All right, she mentioned passion, right? And she said something I would just like to mention before I bring up the executive director of the institute. She said that after the training, and she became a certified counselor, she began to see people differently, and she began to see things differently. Now, that's one of the things that proper training during becoming a counselor does for you. You put yourself aside, and then you see people differently, the way they are, what make them who they are, and all of that. I'm not going to say further again. If you want more, come to the Institute of Counseling in Nigeria and get the old juice. Who is ready for the next session? Who is ready? I'm seeing just 3 hands, 4 hands. Who is ready? If you're ready, please, I want you to just make some noise if you are ready and put your hands together. Woo! Yes! You know, sometimes just being happy and spontaneously happy is good for your mental health. So let's do it again. If you are ready, just make some noise. Woo! Yes! The ride is going further, and I can tell you it's going to be a jolly ride. I am not the rider. The executive director of the Institute of Counseling is the rider. She's the phenomenal, the one and only executive director, Dr. Tolu Okoyigahire. Please put your hands together. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. My head is swelling. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for being here. I really want to appreciate Pastor Wale Adefarasin. All the food, the venue, everything, he puts all of this together. Can we give him a round of applause? Pastor Wale is the chairman of the board of the Institute of Counseling, and he has been very supportive. He's very passionate about mental health. Very. And to our caterer, thank you so much. We love you. And to the staff and the alumni of the Institute of Counseling that are here, we really appreciate all your efforts as well. And finally, I want to say thank you to every one of you for making out time to be here out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much. You can clap for yourself too. So I'm thinking, I was supposed to take a part of the slide. Mr. Oriolowo has taken that. So I'm thinking, what do we do? Let's start by, I'm thinking we should have like a role play. Can we have it? All of us are counselors, Abi. Who is not a counselor here? Okay, if you are not a counselor, please. Who is not a counselor? You are sure you are not a counselor? You are not a counselor. Some of you. No, please talk for yourself. You are not a counselor. Okay, so who is not a counselor here? You are not a counselor. You came with mommy. Do you intend to be one? You are not thinking about it. We need people, though. So everybody is a counselor, Abi. We are all counselors. Okay, so let's have a role play. Can somebody volunteer to be the counselor and one person as the client? Oh yeah, now, counselors. Volunteer. Oh yeah, now. Good. Please, can you help me to clap for her? You are the client. Okay, so we need a counselor. Tosi, help us to bring 2 chairs, please. Who is the counselor now? We have been counseling 20, 30, 40 years experience. Oh yeah, now. After listening to this, you are not so... The confidence is shaking. Let's try now, let's try. Who is going to try? Okay. What do we do now? I should just pick somebody. Sir, can you do it? Hey. Please, maybe you put this on the table so we can use that. No, okay. Please come. So let me start by even telling you something. Can you please stand up, sir? Just for a minute. So, in counseling, even the way you sit matters. So, excuse me, sir. So some people sit, you can even leave it, it won't go. So some do it like this, right? They do it like this, so the counselor is maybe a little bit. So the counselor is facing slightly and the client is facing because they feel like the client might be shy, might be afraid to say certain things, so they don't want to look directly. But at the Institute of Counseling, we encourage, is this Sigmund Freud? Eyeball to eyeball. Ojú lọ̀rọ̀ wà. Ojú òkì ojú jẹ. All right, sir. Okay, so let's do this. So please be a difficult client. Yes.
It's actually hard for me to be a difficult client, but I'll try. Good after this point. Submit, and he's killing me in the house. So let us agree, sir. Let's put Bible. I know the Bible, I've read the Bible. My father is a pastor, so I know what the Bible says. Put aside the Bible and just listen to me. But when we finish, when I leave here, I'm going home to pack my bags. I'm done. I'm tired. It's not compulsory. Maybe we saw each other before we married each other. Is marriage a course? I'm tired. I'm done. Once I leave here, I'm packing my bags, I'm packing my children, and I'm going. I'm out of here. I only came here because Tinuke said I should. I'm just honoring my friend. That's why I'm here. I'm tired. I'm a human being just like he's a human being. He was born, I was born. We're both Christians. I know my rights. I'm qualified. I have a PhD in engineering. He has a PhD too. So what is it? I went to Oxford, he went to Harvard. So what is it? I can't calm down, sir. Do you know what the idiot did to me this morning? He's an idiot. Can you imagine, sir?
Thank you. Please try to calm down so we can work in calm.
Can you imagine what he told me this morning? He was
What did
asking
he
me
tell
that,
you?
do I have common sense? I'm even tired. The way he just talks down at me. Just talks down at me as if I'm not educated. And we both share the bills equally. I pay half of the school fees. I pay half of the house rent. And he will come back we both go to work in the morning. And he'll be saying, am I thinking? See the way I'm talking. I can't take it anymore. I didn't plan for this. After all, he came to propose to me.
Thank you very much. I see from the way you are talking, you're already calming down.
I'm not coming down, sir. I'm not, oh.
You may not feel it, but I can see it. Now, can I know you, please, to start with? Can I know you, your background, and where you are coming from? You are educated, you went to Harvard, or is it Oxford?
No, my husband went to Harvard. I went to Oxford. And then my PhD was in Cambridge.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Where were you coming from before you went to Harvard and to Oxford?
You see, it's all this Christianese that brought me here. My father is a pastor. So I know the Bible and I know where you are going. At the end of the day, I go to court, I should start submitting. Submitting to which man? I have lost respect for him totally. I have lost respect for him. Ever since he slept with the house girl, I caught them red-handed. I've lost respect. How can I be submitting to a man I don't respect? And when he gets to church, he's the best husband in church. I'm tired of the pretending. He's always pretending. People think I'm the bad person because I talk cha. So they think I'm a very bad person. But he is the bad person. He acts like a gentleman, smiling. He will open the car door for me. But in the house, he's a demon. He's a demon. He needs deliverance.
Okay. You have been exchanging.
I think I've done enough.
No, we haven't started anything at all. We are just calming down, getting ourselves into the situation. Now you have spoken so very much about how bad your husband is.
He's hopeless.
Good.
He is beyond redemption.
Good. And you want to just go home and pack and go.
I've got an apartment in Ikoyi. I've paid for a new apartment. It's just for me. I just came here because Tinuke, I respect her. I've made up my mind. I'm not going back.
All right.
No matter what anybody says.
All right. How did you and Tinuke come together? This Tinuke who can convince you to go and do something so that you will not pack out of your house. I suspect that is what she was trying to do to you. How did you come to Tinuke?
Tinuke is a friend that is closer than a brother. We've known each other and we've been for one another since primary school.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Please, is Tinuke married?
Yeah, she's married. But you can't compare her husband to my own husband, though. You cannot compare Tunde to my own husband. Tunde is a perfect husband. I will submit to that kind of husband now. I will submit to that kind of husband.
Okay. So Tinuke has been able to hold her marriage together. Do you think it's just Tinuke?
Because she's married to a perfect gentleman. You come and spend 24 hours in my house. You will pity me. You will even pack my load out. Just spend 24 hours behind closed door when nobody's looking.
What did you say your name was? Sorry.
I've forgotten my name. I can't remember what I said my name was.
Okay, but you know you are here now.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll try and calm down. Let me just, okay, sir. I've
Great.
had you out of respect.
Great.
Let me just take a deep breath. Okay. I'm hearing you now.
When you leave this place, you are going to go home and it's all over.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to calm down now.
Do you have children?
I have 2.
2 children?
Yes.
Where are they now?
They're in
How
school.
old are they now?
They're in school. And ever since I told myself when I was growing up, because I saw the kind of man my father was. So I made up my mind that I will never have more than 2 children. Because my mother went through so much in my father's hand. She only stayed because of us children.
And
so I
he was a
decided,
pastor.
yes, but I decided that when I grow up and I get married, I will have only 2 children. So when the problem arises, I will hold one on my left hand and hold the other on my right, and I'm out.
What if the children don't want to go with you?
They have no choice.
I?
They have no choice.
Please, calm down. How old are they, I was asking?
They are 2 and they are 5. And
2 and 5.
And don't forget, sir, I told you I'm also very intelligent. Even though Tunde will not accept it, I'm very intelligent. And I've done the research in Lagos State. Children under the age of 13, I have custody.
Okay.
I think, oh.
Okay.
I'm very intelligent.
How long have you been married? Your children are 2 and
5.
How long have you been married?
We married for 11 years. We waited. We believed God.
Great.
For about 6 years before I had my first
Great.
child.
Do you know one thing? Let me tell you one secret that I tell people who are married or just married or going to be married. My wife and I married 52 years ago.
That's your own generation, sir.
Wait.
Not this our own generation.
Fine.
My mother was an idiot for my father. I cannot repeat that in my own life. I can't be a fool for any man.
I can tell you my wife is not an idiot for me. But where am I going? When we went for so-called honeymoon, it was only a few days. We weren't that rich. We went to a seaside resort, and we were walking through in the market. You know what the man saw us and told us? He said, "You're just married." We said, "Yes," gleefully. He said, "I don't mean to scare you, but the first 40 years are the most difficult." First 40 years.
I'm listening, sir.
I've been married, as I told you, 52 years now. I'm still seeing the difficulty. If you call my wife, she will tell you her own war stories. Marriage is a relationship between 2 people who decided to come together. Nobody joined, nobody forced you. In my days, yes, they would force you, but these days, your children are just 5 years old. Your marriage is just 11 years old. You still have a long way to go. The man, has he ever slapped you? Is he violent?
The day
Is he violent?
I already told him that the day he tries to do that,
Is he violent?
I will call the police. They will lock him up.
Is he violent?
Excuse me, sir. He may not be violent, but the words that he speaks, they're more hurtful
They are more
than if he
violent.
beats me. I'm trying to calm down. I've been talking for the last 30 minutes. It's just because I'm just beginning to calm down.
You said he saw you when he proposed. What was the situation at the time? Why did you accept?
Like I was saying that my parents' marriage was very, very rocky. Short of physical abuse, my mother had it very rough. My father didn't have time for the house. There was verbal abuse, neglect. In fact, for a long time, I didn't want to get married. I was just going through the academics. I had my master's, my PhD. Because of what I saw in my parents' marriage, I was not in a hurry to get married. In fact, marriage was not even on my radar. Until I met my husband. I met him through another friend, Tinuke. There are 3 of us in this circle. So I met him through Bumi. And I wasn't even, I said, Bumi, I'm not ready to get married. I don't even want to get married. But she just felt that she knew him, and she just felt that the two of us would get along. And that was how it's, one thing just led to the other.
What was so striking about him? What was so striking about him?
He listened. He listened, and he saw me as a human being. He paid attention. He saw me as a partner, as if we were friends. We could talk. I could tell him anything,
Okay.
and he would listen. He saw me. He didn't. I mean, now he doesn't see me. We don't see each other. But at that time, we actually saw each other. We understood each other. We heard each other. We tuned into each other. But I don't know what happened along. Maybe it was the waiting period, waiting to have a child. I had like about 4 or 5, IVF in the waiting period.
Sorry about the IVFs that. Sorry about the IVFs that failed. Can you hear me? Okay, so sorry about the IVFs that failed. I know it's very difficult to experience. I have not had that experience, but I know it's difficult. So sorry about that. Please take some tissue. Take some tissue. Take your time, please. Take your time.
Am I trying?
All right. Okay, so I see that he was very supportive of you, and he listens to you. And then you had concerns about your father's neglect for the family. Do you see him as being neglectful? Since you had your children, do you think that he's also neglecting you and the children? What has been what kind of father has he been to the children, and what kind of husband, in the terms of neglect, has he been to you?
I just think, being a father and being a husband are different things.
Okay.
I think he's a perfect father,
Okay.
but I don't know where we began to miss it. I don't know where. I think maybe it was when he got that job.
Okay.
And he was posted to Abuja. I think that's where we started to the gap.
Okay.
The gap started to maybe the stress of the job. He would just come home and he starts complaining about the food, the way I take care of the children, the house. We can't even have a decent conversation. And I wonder, is it the same person I married? He started, and then he now talks down. When he's talking over my head.
Okay.
He's talking down as if he's talking to the house help.
How do you know he's talking to you in that manner? He's been talking to you since before that time. What words or what really changed about how he talked to you before and then? What did you observe that is different? What made it striking for you for that period?
Yeah, before we used to have conversation, but like I said, when you're talking to your subordinates or your junior staff.
How do you do that?
Which is even wrong. He just talks down. Do you even realize what you are doing? Are you even thinking? Do you even have common sense? And then not only in private, in front of everybody, in front of our friends, in front of the staff, anywhere. Then you can start shouting. We can't just be going on the street, and we're talking. Can start screaming. Look at how you are talking. Are you thinking at all? Then okay, I've put on a bit of weight. But that's I've tried. He says I'm too fat. I should do something about it. He complains about everything, my hair, everything. He doesn't even notice. He only sees the bad things. He only sees the bad things in me, not the good things. Even when I'm looking nice, he doesn't see it. It's only when I'm not looking nice. He will say, did I look in the mirror this morning before I went out? Just putting me down. And for me, I'm just reliving. I'm like, it's my parents' marriage all over again. I'm like, I'm reliving the past. I wanted to be a different woman from my mother. But like, I'm becoming the same woman, the same neglected, abused woman that my mother was. And I vowed I would never be in that same situation.
Okay. I really understand. I think I understand that part. But I just wanted to clarify, to know okay, for example, the time he talked about your dressing, did you look at yourself? How did you see yourself at the time? Like, did you check your hair? Did you check your dress? Did you maybe ask your friends to check? What did they say about your dressing? And then, what did you see in the mirror?
I know to be honest, Tinuke has been complaining. And I respect her opinion. She says I've just let myself go. That I'm not even 40. She always says I'm not even 40 yet, and the way I dress, to be very honest. But I don't have time.
Okay.
I don't have time before I get back from work. I don't have time to, when I come home during the weekend, I don't have time to go and be sitting in one salon and spending 3 hours in the salon. I don't have the time. The children are there. My work is there. He's in Abuja, so I'm taking care of the home front. I know Tinuke says I can do better.
Please clap. Especially for our clients.